tell them suckers to move. I ain't in the mood. Got me with the crew, let me do what I do. I tell them suckers to poof. Got me in the booth, lobby in the truth. Let me do what I do. Yeah, remember when the U come through, enter the music jungle. Or back with the block, I used to rock, I used to fumble. I still rock down, drop the ball when I want to. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
You're tuned in to the OnlyFights podcast.
Episode 36.
Let's get it.
What's up, man? How was your weekend?
Hey, it's good, man. I was chilling. I ain't really do much but paint.
Yeah.
You know, painted the whole house.
Word.
And now it looks like a Trump rally in that. You know what I mean? Like, nah, you know, I was chilling. You know,
that's what's up.
Other than that.
I gotta apologize. I forgot to mention last week the fucking one championship fight that was this Saturday.
Right.
I totally forgot about it. And then I got all excited to watch it, and then I didn't even realize that, you know, obviously it takes place in Japan, so it wouldn't be on our fucking, you know, timeline or whatever. So it ended up being like really early on Saturday, so I ended up missing it.
Yeah.
But you know, rewatched some of the fights, or just the main two pretty much. So the CoMain was the fight that I really wanted to watch. Demetrius Johnson, you know, MMA fighter, took on Rotang, who's a really well-known, I think he's considered like the best right now, like Muay Thai fighter.
Right.
You know, one championship does like Muay Thai as well. They host like multiple different sports. So they had this first ever like mixed rules special, you know, super fight, whatever. So it's basically going to be 4 rounds. The first round is going to be Muay Thai rules, and then second round MMA rules, and then they would go back and forth. Third round Muay Thai, fourth round MMA.
Right.
So pretty much what I expected to happen happened. I pretty much thought if Demetrius Johnson could survive the first round, you know, he should be able to finish him quick in the second round.
Yeah.
And obviously he's, you know, in MMA there's a lot of, like, he has good stand-up, you know, so he was able to survive. I think, Rotang definitely won the round. He definitely was getting the better of him. You know what I mean? That guy is so fast with his kicks and shit. But, you know, Mighty Mouse was able to survive that first round. And then that second round, you know, as expected, you know, he was really patient and, you know, waited for that perfect opportunity for the takedown. I think he caught one of his kicks, Rotang's kicks, was able to get him to the ground, you know, work his way to the back pretty easy, and put him in a rear naked choke. And I think he went to sleep. I don't think he tapped.
Nice.
So he put him to sleep. So, yeah, that was pretty cool fight. I kind of want to see more. I would like to see more of them, but I guess I'm trying to think how else they could switch it up, like with what other like disciplines they could put in there. I guess Muay Thai and MMA is kind of like the best, unless they have just like a Muay Thai and then maybe just like a grappling. You know what I mean? Like no stand up at all.
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, like a jiu-jitsu round or stuff. That'd be crazy, like to, you know, test people's like overall skills and shit. But I guess ultimately we just go back to MMA. That's really what it is, right?
That would probably make things like
it's a little redundant, like
that would make things like technical, you know?
Yeah.
Because then you'd have to focus on one style at a time, and much like boxing.
You ever seen a combat jiu-jitsu?
I don't think so.
It's pretty interesting. It's like jiu-jitsu, but they can open hand smack each other.
Nice.
It's pretty funny.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it's They have it on like the ESPN Fight Pass. The one time I seen it,
Wow.
It's pretty cool. And I seen one guy KO another guy with they call them like palm strikes. Like pretty much smacked them in the face and KO'd him.
Wow.
Like on top of him. That was crazy. But yeah, so that was a fun fight. And then the other fight on the one championship was Angela Yee. She defended her belt for the 6th time and she won it atomweight division. I think that's 105. So that's like real small. They don't even have that in the UFC.
Wow.
So yeah, I think she's a Japanese fighter, and that's her 6th defense, and so yeah, that's pretty impressive. I definitely want to pay more attention to one championship. It seemed like they put on really good events. And then later that night we had the UFC. It was a little earlier in the day, the UFC Fight Night. And the headline fight was Curtis Blades versus Chris Dakaus, heavyweights. It was a decent card. I watched the whole main card. Didn't get to watch any of the prelims. The first fight we had on the main card was a welterweight fight, Neil Magny versus Max Griffin. Both guys are, been in the UFC for a while. Neil Magny definitely has a lot more experience. He's 26-9. Max Griffin's 18-9. Neil Magny is actually a little younger. He's 34 and Griffin was 36. I don't know why I thought Griffin was the younger fighter. He's kind of coming off a couple big wins. Like he's making his way up. I don't think he's ranked yet, Griffin, but Magny's ranked 9. So this was like his chance to get ranked. And it wasn't the most exciting fight. Magny had a 4-inch reach advantage that he really used. He really put good use to it. Was beating him pretty much all the way around, was outstriking him, took him down a couple times, kind of dominated him on the ground. Magny got real good jiu-jitsu. He's like real long and, he wraps his legs around people and shit and makes it look pretty easy on the ground. So he ended up getting the decision win. He calls out Khamzat Chimaev in his post-fight interview. He said that he's been calling him out for like the past year or whatever because everybody says that they don't want to fight. Or he's saying how everybody says how no one calls this guy out, but he's been calling him out.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, Magny just don't really got the name, like the hype right now. Like Khamzat got so much hype behind him right now, and it's gonna be interesting to see if he really lives up to it. So the next fight, we had a flyweight fight. This is the fight that I had posted on the page about for people to watch. Ascroft took on Kai Kara France. These guys are both ranked pretty high. Ascroft is ranked actually 2nd, and Kai Kara France is 6th. Ascroft was going into the fight undefeated, Russian fighter. Typical Russian style. Wrestling, dominating people on the ground. Kai Kara France is more of a kickboxer. He comes out of New Zealand. I think he fights out of Izzy's camp, City Kickboxing in New Zealand. So he's like real little. He's 5'4". Obviously his flyweights are all pretty small, but he looked even smaller than, he looked like one of the smaller ones I've ever seen. This was a really exciting fight, man. It really lived up to the hype. The first round, Ascroft basically he does what he does. He took him down pretty early. I think he caught a kick and was able to get Kai Kara France down and was making it look real easy. Got to the back real quick. Had the body triangle locked in on the back and was fighting for the rear naked choke. And Kai Kara France just did a really good job of defending it. I think at one point it looked like Ascroft actually had the choke in, and it looked like Kara France literally pried his hand down, pulled it off of him. It was pretty crazy. And he got that body triangle pretty early in the first round, so it didn't look good. This guy had 2.5 minutes at least to work on the back. And Kai Kara France ends up getting up with him still on the back, so he has him backpack style. And he walks him over to the cage, is trying to scrape him off of the cage, and just keeps fighting that rear naked choke. And he doesn't end up getting it, but he stays on the feet for a while, and the round pretty much ends. He survives it. It was really crazy that he survived that whole round like that.
Yeah.
And they were saying how much energy it takes, leg energy it takes for the person that's on the back to stay on the back like that while they're standing up.
Right.
So Ascroft looked like when he got off, he looked like he was pretty drained. So second round started, so obviously Ascroft definitely won that first round, dominated him, had the dominant position the entire time. And so that was an easy first round for him. So he took the first round. Second round, you could tell, like I said, Ascroft looks a lot more tired. He shoots for a couple takedowns, and Kai Kara France looks way fresher. He's able to stuff a couple takedowns, and right away you could see Ascroft's demeanor change. He's like, oh shit, I can't take him down.
Yeah.
And dude, Kai Kara France starts teeing off on him. He starts hitting them with big shots, uppercuts, everything. Ascroft is super tough, man. He took a lot of big shots. I thought he was gonna go down a couple times. I don't think he dropped him at all, but he was really tagging him over and over again, pretty much the whole round, and Ascroft survives it. Going into that, or it was the complete opposite now. When the second round ended, Kai Kara France had all the momentum. It was crazy, and that place was going crazy for him. I think it was in Ohio. They had the card in
Columbus.
Columbus, Ohio. So third round starts, and Ascroft gets an early takedown. He goes for the takedown, gets it. Kai Kara France is able to get back up after probably a minute or so. and then pretty much picks up where he left off on the feet and just starts teeing off on him. And again, like you could tell Ascroft, I guess he's more tired. He doesn't seem like he's that hurt. I guess he's just really tired. He can't keep his hands up. He's just going backwards, but getting tagged.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how the whole round goes to. And like the last 20 seconds or so, Kai Kara-France is like just standing in the middle of the octagon, like pointing down, like telling him to meet him in the middle.
Nice.
And he's just like, Ascroft doesn't really want any of it. But it was really dope fight. So it goes to decision, and Kai Kara-France gets a decision win and hands Ascroft his first loss. Nice. So Ascroft was ranked second, and Kai Kara-France sixth. So I think this definitely gets him the title shot. But I did see earlier this week they actually I saw they announced that the UFC is going to go forward with the Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo fourth fight.
Oh, fourth fight.
I don't know what's the word for that. Quadrilogy? I don't know.
Something.
But yeah, so they're gonna go for the fourth. So they apparently are gonna work for that in July. Wow. But right after this fight, obviously, Kai Kara-France wants the title shot, and then I think Davison Figueiredo was tweeting pretty much saying that, oh, Moreno's gonna have to wait in line now, and Figueiredo was saying he's more interested now in fighting Kai Kara-France, which I guess would be. I would like to see that too, just to switch it up. You know what I mean? Like, Moreno is young. He ain't going nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? He's going to be around. I'm sure we'll see him fight for the title again if he doesn't, get the fourth fight right away.
Yeah, we don't need no Pacquiao Marquez.
Yeah.
Not now, anyways.
Was that 4? That was 4?
That was 4.
Damn. Yeah, that's crazy. But that was like one of the... But you can't even argue, like, against it, right? Like, those were, like, 4 awesome fights.
Yeah, and I do think that Marquez got robbed in that third one, but, whatever.
Yeah. So Marquez only won the last one, right? Really?
Yeah, and I think the first one was a draw. Or the second one.
Yeah.
I forget. Yeah, but...
So, Kai Kara-France puts himself up there next for a title shot, most likely. Really exciting fight. So, the next fight, welterweight fight, UFC veteran Matt Brown took on Bryan Barberena. Never seen this guy fight before. 32 years old. He was fighting out of his hometown. I guess he's from Ohio. He has a record of 17-8. Matt Brown, obviously we've seen him fight a bunch of times. I can't believe he's still fighting. He's only 41. I don't know why I thought he was older. He got a record of 25-19.
41's pretty old though.
Yeah, especially for for MMA.
Right.
And he looked old, But his nickname is the Immortal, so you know what I mean. That's what he got. He got it tattooed across the belly and everything. So this might have actually been. I mean, besides the Kai Kara-France and Ascroft fight, I'm surprised that they had that one so far down in the card. That could have been like the co-main, but all these fights ended up living up. Putting on good performances though. The Matt Brown fight was really good. It was a lot of back and forth, and all the rounds were pretty close. Bryan Barberena ends up getting the split decision win over Matt Brown, and it was pretty much like a slugfest, man. They pretty much stood there and were just throwing hands, throwing elbows. Both guys got cut pretty bad. I almost thought Matt Brown would get the win just because of his takedowns. Like, he had a couple big takedowns. I would say maybe at least one a round. Didn't do too much. Barberena's able to get up, but like you could tell Matt Brown's way more tired by the end. I mean, they're both tired, but I think Matt Brown gassed first. But he was still able to get a couple takedowns even when he was tired. So, I thought that was pretty impressive. But overall, it was a really good fight. That might have been fight of the night, really, because the crowd was going crazy. Like I said, they stood there and banged it out for 3 rounds.
Nice. So
that was a fun fight to watch. Next fight, we had a women's flyweight fight at 125. Joanna Wood took on Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso's a young Mexican fighter. She's 28 years old. She's ranked 9th right now, and Wood is ranked 7th. She fights out of Scotland. She's a little older. She's 36. So this is a pretty big fight for the flyweight division. They're looking for they always need a new contenders. So Alexa Grasso is known as a striker. She's been working a lot on her jiu-jitsu though, and I think she had said before the fight that she wanted this to be her first submission win. She didn't get any submission wins, and she did just that. She got the first round rear naked choke and made it look pretty easy.
Nice.
So the fight started, and you know, it seemed pretty even on the feet for like a minute maybe, and then Wood hit her with like a spinning elbow. Hit Alexa Grasso with a spinning elbow. It looked like she was hurt. When she got hit with it, she grabbed her right away, and then she was able to like kind of spin her around and threw her on the ground, got the takedown, and then just like got on her back right away. Like made it look so easy. Just got her on her back, and you know, got the choke in and choked her out and made her tap. I think it was only a couple minutes. So that was a really big win for her. You know, she's gonna definitely move up. She was ranked 9th, and Wood was 7th, so she's definitely gonna jump up, probably top 5. Excited to see Alexa Grasso keep fighting. She's really good. And then that was a co-main, and the main event we had some heavyweights. Curtis Blades took on Chris Dakaus. I think both these guys' last fight might have been getting knocked out by Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
I think both of them. Pretty viciously too. So Curtis Blades is ranked 4th, and Darkus is 9th. Darkus fights out of Philly. He's actually, I think, a cop out of Philly. His record is 12-5. Curtis Blades from Chicago. He's 16-3. So he's known, you know, more for his wrestling. I think he was like a junior college wrestling champion or whatever. He's, you know, he was really good in wrestling in college. So first round starts. It's pretty even. Both guys land some big punches. Blades surprisingly doesn't go for any takedowns. It doesn't even fake any takedowns, which I thought was surprising. I thought he would at least like fake them. You know what I mean, to open up some punches and shit. So you could see Blades seem to have a little bit more power though. I was kind of surprised. Like when he hit Darkus, it seemed to affect him a little bit more. But Darkus definitely seemed to have the speed advantage. You know, he puts together real nice combinations and stuff. And then the second round starts, and it's pretty much the same thing. Both guys seem kind of, you know, being pretty patient. And then late in the second round, Curtis Blades lands a huge right hand, you know, lands flush on the face of Darkus and drops him. And, you know, Curtis Blades jumps all over him, flattens him out, and just keeps throwing big punches to the head, and the fight gets stopped. So, you know, he was definitely trying to make a statement, as he said in the post-fight interview, about what, you know, everybody saying that he's just a wrestler and all this shit. He didn't shoot for a single takedown.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty impressive, like, right hand that he hit him with. It was really flush, like, you know, it was right on the button. So, big win for Curtis Blades. That puts him right back up there, man. The heavyweight division. Francis just got his surgery. I don't know if you saw. He just got his surgery. Yeah. They said it was successful, so he's just he's gonna have a long, rehab. You know, he's gonna have a long rehab pretty much. But they're most likely gonna do the interim title with John Jones and somebody. I would think. I saw Tom Aspinall said the fighter from London that won last week at the London card. He said he wanted to fight Tai Tuivasa. I think that'd be a great fight. And I still want to see what's it called, John Jones and Stipe. Hopefully, Stipe was actually there last night. He was at the fight. Oh yeah, he's from Ohio, so yeah, that makes sense. I'm thinking, why the hell is he there? Yeah, so Stipe was there, and Curtis Blades pretty much says that he respects Stipe, and but he said that he would want to fight him next. I don't know if they make that happen. I think Stipe probably fights John Jones for the interim belt, and then Tai Tuivasa and Tom Aspinall I think that should happen, and then that should be the next title shot, the winner of those guys. But yeah, so that was it for the fight night, for the UFC Fight Night. I know we had a lot of boxing on Saturday too, right?
Yeah, I got 3 cards to cover, so
nice.
You know,
I saw some crazy things happening.
Yeah, so did I, man. So did I. I'm gonna start with some DAZN. So you had Kiko Martinez, you know, IBF featherweight title holder at the time, taking on Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington coming off of a no contest fight against Mauricio Lara, who Lara had knocked out Warrington in their first fight.
Right.
So they rematched, had a headbutt in like the second round, and too much of a gash. So they stopped the fight inside the 4 rounds, and it was a no contest.
Damn.
And Kiko Martinez, so he knocks out Kid Galahad in his last fight and becomes the new IBF featherweight champion. Josh Warrington and Kiko Martinez had fought before, and Warrington beat him. So this is a rematch, and in the first fight was a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know, this one Warrington, he did what he had to do. He dropped Martinez in the first round, and just continued to beat and batter him. Martinez would have some success, in between, but for the
Yeah.
most part, he got dominated and stopped in 7 rounds. So you knew IBF featherweight champion Josh Warrington. In the co-main event, you had Ebony Bridges taking on another IBF titleist in the women's bantamweight division, Maria Cecilia Roman. And Bridges, she looked good in this fight. She dominated pretty much every round up until maybe like the last 2, and gets a unanimous decision. I'm sorry,
Nice.
majority decision,
Mhm.
and she becomes the new IBF titleist in the women's bantamweight division. So shout out to her. And that's the only 2 fights that I watched in the DAZN card. Didn't get a chance to see anything else, but in that. But I did watch some Showtime.
Yeah.
Showtime had a pretty decent card. They had Tszyu taking on Terrel Gausha. And in the undercard, you had Elvis Rodriguez taking on Jose Velasco, 140-pound division. Elvis Rodriguez looked good. He scored a 7th round knockout. 3 knockdowns, and I think the 3 No, I don't think the 3 knockdown rule was in effect. I think Velasco just kind of stayed down. Yeah, Rodriguez, he looked good, man. He landed 63% of his power punches.
Damn.
And in the post-fight interview, he was calling out the winner of the Tank and Rolly fight. So he called out Gervonta Davis,
Yeah.
because ain't no way Rolly winning that fight. And in the co-main, you had a good one, man. You had a pretty good. I thought it was a good fight on paper, because I know these guys. Joseph Adorno out of Allentown taking on Michelle Rivera. So they're friends. I guess they used to spar each other, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was more of a chess match. Adorno, me being a fan of him being local and also Puerto Rican. He my problem with him is every time he has success, he kind of takes his foot off the gas and backs off.
Yeah.
So he had a good opening round in this fight, but for the most part, Rivera had like a 3-inch reach advantage, and that jab was really working for in his favor. Had Adorno struggling to get on the inside, and even when he did, like I said, he wouldn't. He would throw and land a punch here and there. A lot of his shots were really getting blocked, but Michelle Rivera looked good throughout the fight. I believe this was the first time Adorno went 10 rounds, and he definitely looked like the more tired fighter in the end of the fight. Pretty dominant victory, I would say, from Michelle Rivera.
Nice.
Giving Adorno his first loss, because he came out of, I think, like 2 draws in a row. That's kind of crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. And in the main event, you have the son of Tszyu, Tszyu, taking on Terrel Gausha. Terrel Gausha, good seasoned fighter, 154-pound division. So that's like Jamel Charlo, Brian Castano, those guys, right? That fight's coming up soon, the rematch. But this was a good fight. In the first round, Tszyu, he starts off strong. He's walking down Terrel Gausha, and he's having success. He's kind of headhunting, with the 1-2, and gets a little lazy with the jab, and Terrel Gausha catches him perfectly with a perfectly timed right hand, and drops him. So Tszyu, I don't know if that was his first time getting dropped. I don't think it was, but he shook off the cobwebs in the second round, and starts to go back to the 1-2, landing every not everything, but most. Terrel Gausha had a high guard, but he was breaking through, and much of the same. throughout these rounds. He starts to open up more in like the third, throwing uppercuts and goes to the body, things like that.
Mhm.
You know, it was a good showing, I would say, for Tszyu in his first time in America. They were in Minneapolis at the Armory,
Where's he from?
Australia.
Oh.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. You know, Terrel Gausha would have some success in the later rounds, catching him with some counters and things like that. It was a 12-round fight, but for the most part, Tszyu really did dominate. Excuse me. Other than that first round where he got dropped. You know,
Yeah.
but they showed a lot of love, a lot of respect after the fight. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool
Nice.
fight to watch. Good card. Good, free card on Showtime.
Word.
Yeah, that's that. So we'll see where he goes from there. Like I said, that's a junior middleweight, 154 pounds. I don't know. I don't see him ready for like the
Big
winner
guys.
of Charlo and Castano or
Yeah.
those guys. Maybe if Danny Garcia moves up, maybe we can fight him.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a Tony Harrison, something like that. Either way, good win for Tszyu.
Yeah.
Moving on to the top rank card, another good card. I started watching when I caught the return of Josue Vargas. If you remember, he suffered a pretty brutal stoppage, knockout loss to Jose Cepeda.
Right.
After talking all that shit.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Anyways, so he comes back, and my biggest thing was to see if he was gonna be gun shy. You know,
Yeah.
much like what I'll speak on in the main event. But he takes on Nico DeMario, an Argentina fighter, excuse me. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it looked like. You know, Vargas was looking real chinny. He was dropped twice in this fight. He was bit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yo, I it's crazy because like that was a round that he actually got dropped in. So DeMario scores a knockdown, which pretty much he gets the extra point and he wins the round, and then he loses a point because he bit him. He bit Vargas in the clinch. It was weird. Which they were saying the commentators were saying like that's a disqualification. They should have just DQ'd him right there. And I wouldn't have had a problem with that. That was weird. Anyways, nonetheless, after that, Vargas kind of goes back to boxing and does well and scores the decision. I don't know. I was kind of referring him to the Puerto Rican Amir Khan, you know, because he got skills, he could box, but I don't know, that knockout he suffered, it was bad, and he's getting dropped by Journeyman. So
he got dropped twice in this fight?
Twice, yeah.
But still won?
Still won, yep. Yeah. Obviously that the point deduction, didn't help.
Also, that probably kind of offsetted one of the knockdowns at least.
Yeah, a little bit. I forget what the scores were, but they were kind of close. And then Tiger Johnson in the next fight gets a 4th round stoppage against Sebastian Gabriel Chavez. Tiger Johnson, of course, represented, United States in the Olympics last summer. So he improves to 3-0, 2 knockouts. Carlos Caraballo gets a majority decision victory over Luis Fernando Saavedra. And in the co-main, Eduardo Baez taking on Jose Vivas in the featherweight division. Good fight. I would say that Baez dominated most of it in the early rounds, and in the later rounds, he had a good jab. He boxed well. Was never in any real trouble, despite an onslaught in the 10th round by Vivas to end the fight. Also some mid-round success, going to the body, things like that. But yeah, so Baez would get the majority decision victory with one judge scoring it a draw. But yeah, he moves on from there, and we move on to the main event with Miguel Berchelt taking on Jeramiah Nakatia.
Yeah.
So Miguel Berchelt, much like in the with the Josue Vargas situation, he's coming off a really brutal knockout loss to Oscar Valdez, and we wanted to see where he was at.
Yeah.
And what better way to do it than to put him up against a very hard-hitting puncher in Nakatia. If you remember, Nakatia fought Shakur Stevenson, who's one of the best fighters in the game right now.
Yeah.
And he had Stevenson, backing up and fighting a very defensive fight. Don't get me wrong, he did well, but very defensive. So that I think that speaks a lot to the power of Nakatia, and we know him to have a lot of power.
Yeah.
So it was a strong start by Nakatia. Berchelt's looking pretty gun-shy to start the fight, and in the third round he goes down with a jab. Yeah, he gets dropped by a jab. So fourth round, Nakatia, man, he couldn't miss with the right. I mean, he was landing it over and over again.
Yeah.
It was looking bad. Tim Bradley, I believe, was calling for the stoppage in the broadcasting, which I thought that was a little premature. But he was taking some damage. He was getting hit a lot.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the for that Mexican warrior in him to wake up and see if he would rise up, which he would in the fifth round. He started to fight back and showed a lot of heart. But in the sixth round, Nakatia is putting a beating on him and lands a huge right that just knocks his mouthpiece, like sends it flying.
Yeah, it was vicious.
I think somebody in the audience got it. That shit. Yeah, man. And after that, the referee after the round ended and the referee stopped the fight. Berchelt had mentioned in the post-fight interview that he wanted to continue, but he respects the decision of the referees, and I don't know where he goes from here, man. Like he's just suffered two, brutal knockout losses. He might need to chill.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad in this one.
Yeah.
Those right hands he was eating were bad.
Yeah, but it was a good fight though. Like,
You think it was the right stoppage?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Berchelt just didn't look right. I think I don't know. I think it was actually pretty bad matchmaking too. Like,
Yeah.
why would you put him up against somebody that really heavy-handed like this? Like, that's kind of crazy, but it is what it is, man. We'll see where he goes from here. He said he wanted to take a little break and said he'll come back and be stronger, and I hope he's good. I hope I hope his health is good, because it was bad, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like when his mouthpiece came flying out, like
yeah,
that looked bad.
So we really don't have anything. We don't have much next week. We do have we don't have I don't think we have any MMA, right? We don't have UFC.
I have to look to see if there's any other ones like
There's no Bellator.
PFL or anything. But as far as UFC and Bellator, I don't think we have anything.
PFL, I know they're gonna start their season soon, but I don't know if it's next week.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they started yet.
Savannah Marshall though will be taking on Femke Hermans for the WBO for Marshall's WBO title, middleweight title, in the women's middleweight division. Yamilet Mercado taking on Zulina Munoz. So a few fights in the women's division, but really not much at all.
Yeah.
The week after that, we have another fight in the women's division. Michaela Merritt taking on Jennifer Hahn.
Nice.
And also the long-awaited return of Gennady Golovkin taking on Ryota Murata in Japan. So this might be another one of those
early in the morning.
early morning Let's get some breakfast and watch boxing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And also the return of Ryan Garcia taking on Emmanuel Tago with Marlon Esparza on the undercard.
What's that gonna be on?
DAZN. And Erickson Lubin taking on Sebastian Fundora in Showtime. That should be a good one. With Tony Harrison taking on Sergio Garcia right there.
Nice.
You know, that actually all those guys are 154 pounds. So, and they're all PBC guys, just like Tim too. So they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course some more of the highlighted the bouts, I should say. April 16th, Errol Spence taking on Yordenis Ugas. Week after that, you have Tyson Fury taking on Dillian White. Week after that, you have Shakur Stevenson taking on Oscar Valdez. Same night, you have Katie Taylor taking on Amanda Serrano. Cinco de Mayo weekend, you have Canelo Alvarez taking on Dimitri Bivol. And the week after that, you have the rematch with Jamel Charlo taking on Brian Castano for undisputed at 154 pounds. And 2 weeks after that, you have Gervonta Davis taking on Rolly.
Word.
A Showtime pay-per-view fight for reasons I can't understand why. But, yeah.
What's going on with the Cambosos and Haney fight?
Actually, real quick, I got you. I'm going to talk about that. But I want to talk about... So, Tank actually alluded to his contract being up with Mayweather Promotions.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think he wants to rock with them no more.
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, if he gets out of his contract, or you know, his contract's going to be up. So, if he's going to be a free agent, and he's going to be able to
sign wherever he wants,
or even just remain a free agent. And because if he's a star, like they say he is,
yeah, that's kind of the new thing now, right?
We'll see what's up, and we should be able to get more fights because there's no reason, you know, why he didn't fight Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney or any of these guys, you know. So to get back to your question. I don't know what's up. So apparently Devin Haney isn't signing the contract. Matter of fact, actually, you know what? Look, 16 minutes ago, it's been reported by Mike Coppinger that Devin Haney agrees to the June fight for against George Cambosos.
Nice.
That's crazy. They just reported that shit. Right when you asked.
So where is it gonna be on?
I believe DAZN. Yeah, has to be DAZN. Or no, the prime time in the United States on ESPN. Oh, okay, so ESPN. So it has a rematch clause. If Haney wins, and the fight would also take place in Australia.
The rematch, right?
The rematch. But the rematch is only if he loses Cambosos.
Yeah.
All right. So that answers your question.
Yeah.
So I guess Devin Haney isn't exclusive with Matchroom then. He's like independent.
Yeah, it looks like this is gonna be like a co-promotional deal.
Yeah.
That's like a new thing in boxing though, right? Like fighters like just being free agents.
Oh yeah, you know, social media definitely helps with that.
Yeah. They promote themselves and shit now. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure give Ryan Garcia a couple years, he'll be able to do his own thing, and guys like that really know how to use the social media thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But what's the future like for MMA?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we don't got nothing next week. The following week on the 9th, we got the UFC 273. Alexander Volkanovski taking on the Korean Zombie for the featherweight belt. You know, they're doing some promos for that one, and you know, the Korean Zombie got such a dope story. It'll be awesome to see him win that fight. You know what I mean? It's gonna be really tough. I don't know if he does it, but that'll be good. Hopefully it's an entertaining fight. I think it will be. And then we also got the co-main on that same card for the bantamweight title. Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan 2.
Yeah, can we get that fight over with?
Yeah, there's so many good fighters in that division. Like, Hopefully, most likely it's gonna be TJ Dillashaw. I think that'll get the. Most likely, I think Peter Yan will win, and then TJ and Peter Yan I think would be a good fight. And then Khamzat Chimaev takes on Gilbert Burns. I don't know what to think about this. This could either be, it could be a tough fight for Chimaev, or it could be really easy. I could see him maybe fucking doing the same thing, picking him up and doing whatever the fuck he wants with him. From what everybody talks about this guy, he seems to be for real. So that's a pretty good card. Mackenzie Dern, Tisha Torres are fighting as well, and Kevin Gastelum's on the card as well. Pretty good card. April 15th, we have the next Bellator card, 277. We got the rematch of AJ McKee and Patricio Pitbull. That should be a really good fight. AJ McKee beat Pitbull in the first fight, took the belt. So I think it was a first round stoppage.
Yeah.
So this should be a really good fight. Excited for that one. That's on a Friday, and then the next day on Saturday, we got the fight night between Vicente Luque taking on Bilal Muhammad, welterweight fight. Those guys are both ranked pretty high, so that should be a pretty good fight. And then April 22nd, there's another Bellator card, 278. Velasquez and Carmouche. In some other UFC news, I don't know if you saw Nate Diaz put out a tweet asking to be released by the UFC, which I kind of saw this coming. Where like he's at the end of his contract, he only got one fight left, and they're not gonna want to give him that fight because he doesn't want to resign. You know what I mean? Like he's been wanting a fight. He's been very vocal about it. Yeah. That he pretty much will fight anybody. He'll fight McGregor. He'll fight. He was calling for the fight with what's his name, Dustin Poirier. And they seem to just not be making it happen. And I saw it in one of the press conferences, they asked Dana White about it, and they're like, "Do you think that Nate Diaz is gonna resign?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I'm pretty confident that he is gonna resign." And I thought that was kind of weird, like Nate being so vocal that he wants to just fight out his contract and leave. You know what I mean? So obviously they're not on the same page there.
Man, I don't know. I don't like complaining about it, but I'm really not crazy sometimes about how the UFC treats their fighters, man. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's like they want to age them out, sometimes, like, so that by the time they do, leave the UFC, like, they're not, they're older and things like that.
Especially someone like Nate that, he's such a big name and has the opportunity to go do something. Like, he might box or something. As much as I don't really want to see him do that, I think that's what he's gonna do.
I heard talks about him in Bellator, but
that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
See him fight the guys over there.
But he obviously wants to leave. You know what I mean? So that's kind of fucked up. They're not giving him that fight. Yeah. So he has to be released. Obviously, they're not gonna fucking release him. That they're gonna try to hold him and try to make him resign. But that's all I really got as far on the UFC side or the MMA side.
Yeah. I haven't really been paying attention too much to. AJ and Usyk, that rematch is on. Usyk is gonna come back from the war and train. So that was the big news for AJ. They're talking about Ruiz and Wilder. I believe they're both PBC fighters, so that should be a good fight, man. Yeah. Easy fight to make.
Exciting fight for the fans.
Yeah. In terms of news, I don't have any gossip. I'm sorry. That's pretty much everything that I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess until next week. Once again, my name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
This is the OnlyFights podcast, and we out.
Peace.
Peace.